Hey Josh, try and answer these as quick as you can.
Okay.
Are futures good for beginners?
I think they are. I think there's risk involved in every single trade. However, futures is very straightforward. The market goes up, market goes down. You can only buy, you can only sell. It is a margin market, but you can protect yourself by using a stop. You just have to understand, ticks, margins, and then how a broker works. But you're not dealing with like contracts such as like options. Meaning you're not dealing with Greeks, time decay, stuff like that, which I think is a little bit more advanced. Where futures is pretty clean. Now it's not as straightforward as stocks, like buying and selling shares, right? Or buying and holding shares. But once you understand the margin requirements and once you understand ticks and contracts, it's really, really straightforward. You buy, market goes up, you make money, market goes down, you lose money, and vice versa.
Do you ever trade stocks or options?
Yeah, so I buy and hold indexes. I really enjoy it. I'll buy the ETFs, and so such as like VU, QQQ alternatives, right? Stuff like that. But individual stocks every now and then, but like, I just like to buy and hold and just let the time do the heavy lifting for me.
Do you think crypto is going to be even bigger in a couple years?
Well, it depends on what you trade, right? So you have Bitcoin, which is in theory designed to go up. Again, there's risk involved, but limited supply, right? So limited supply, lots of interest in buying. It's designed to go up over time. So it's like an ETF for the crypto market. In regards to like alternatives, like altcoins and stuff like that, meme coins, that's like gambling. A lot of fun for a lot of people. I don't mess around with it. I would not consider myself a crypto trader, but I think there will be a lot of interest. I think crypto is here to stay. A lot of money management, a lot of money managers are involved in it. And I believe even like 401ks, you can buy and hold Bitcoin now. So
wow.
That says a lot.
Yeah. And how do I know which broker to pick?
Well, picking a broker, a couple things. I am not an IB, which means introducing broker. So I don't get paid to tell you which broker to pick and choose from, right? And so that's number one. I'm not a broker myself, so I don't receive money or manage money. I don't do stuff like that. I'm just pure education. Picking a broker is like picking a bank, right? You want it located in your country, governed by your government and regulated. And for me, when I pick a broker, I find something to where it has great customer support. They're nice, they're professional, software is easy to use, right? It allows me to place my trades, not overly complicated. Some brokers offer really, really sophisticated stuff. Like to me, I don't need that. I just want to simply buy or sell and just super, super user-friendly stuff. So if someone were to pick a broker, I would just suggest, hey, listen, find one located in your country, governed by your government. Ask for a demo account, practice, play around at simulation, call their customer support. Are they nice? Are they professional? Do they give you the answers? And then from there, you probably make a good choice.
Now, what's the difference between micros and minis?
So micros were relatively introduced just a handful of years ago, right? So I think like 2019 was introduced. They are 1/10 an E-mini. So like, for example, NASDAQ 100 right now, an E-mini contract trade during the daytime, depending on your broker, it's like $1,000 of margin, meaning like you have to have $1,000 in your trading account. Then you get $5 a tick. A micro E-mini contract is 1/10 of that. So all you need is $100 of margin, so just a $100 balance requirement, and then you get 50 cents a tick. So it's a great resource to use, especially if you're managing a risk properly. You want the smaller investment sizes to start out with, and micros do a good job with managing risk.
Now, what are you doing? Buying or selling the NQ and oil?
Yeah, so NASDAQ 100 is currently dipping, right? Since the October highs, we've been retracing. Well, I'm a Fibonacci trader, so in October, we fulfilled a Fibonacci extension on the monthly time frame. So we've been retracing, looking for that 3. Once this retracement is over, I'm going to expect a 5 to 7 month bullish trend to all-time high. So I'm personally waiting for the daily time frame to enter back into the buy zone. When it does, I'm going to start applying my favorite uptrend techniques and start buying the market. So I am not trying to take advantage of the downward movement at all. I am scalping the market using the daybreak strategy. We're working really well on NASDAQ. So that's what I'm doing. For light crude oil, I'm staying away. I'm not trading it. Anything that's like really, really news driven. Right now, oil is just fundamentally news driven reaction, very emotional market right now. Anything to do with Iran, anything to do with the conflict, with the war, anything to do with peace talks, it's just moving that thing like crazy. So I want nothing to do with it until stability and certainty comes back.
What are Fibonacci levels? What do they actually mean?
So Fibonacci's is a mathematical equation, right? So Fibonacci's was discovered by a gentleman named Leonardo de Fibonacci de Pisa, and the gentleman he's passed away, but it's a man-discovered formula, right? It's not man-made, and it's just a mathematical sequence. It's all over the world, right? You can see it. If you were to Google it, it's known as the golden ratio or the natural governing law of nature. Certain plants grow in a Fibonacci sequence. Certain animals breed in a Fibonacci sequence. Plastic surgeons use Fibonacci's to reconstruction of the face. It's really interesting if you really want to dive into it. But we use these levels. It's just a mathematical equation. It's like 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, and all through infinity. And then you have these Fibonacci retracement extension levels based upon equations such as square roots and divisions of that formula, such as like the 2, 3, 6, 3, 2, 5, 0, 6, 1, 8, 7, 8, 6, 8, 8, and etc., right? And so these levels let us know where hidden levels of support and resistance are. Basically, where buyers like to buy and where sellers like to sell. They give us a competitive edge. In my opinion, I think everybody should be using Fibonacci's. They will give you short-term moves, long-term moves. In my opinion, the best stops below the structure, above the structure, and where to get out before the retracement.
What's one rule you never break when trading?
Well, never is a powerful rule, right? But I try my very best to have a core belief. I think before you place a trade, you should have core values of how you believe the market moves. I personally believe that the market U-turns at, on, and or around the same price point, so I will often use hand-drawn trend lines to find known levels of U-turn to kind of help me. I like to use counter trend line breaks for entry confirmation, so this way I'm not guessing U-turns, I'm trading U-turns. And I really try my very best to follow a 5-step process, which means every trade needs 5 things: direction, entry, stop, limit, risk management. And whatever I do, I need it to be repeatable. I can't just guess, I can't just close out just because, I can't enter in just because. Whatever I do, I want it to be repeatable, because if I want success, I want to repeat it. If I want to avoid failure, I want to repeat that. I know that nothing's 100%, but if I can push a formula through, and as long as I understand that formula, I'll be in great shape. But never is a powerful rule. You know, this isn't a game of emotions, a game of psychology, but I try to stay very, very strict to pushing a formula of success through.
Now, do I ever move my stop?
It depends on your strategy. Some strategies are designed to move your stops. Some use like a dynamic trailing stop, fixed trailing stop. But whatever you do, make it repeatable, right? I personally do not enjoy moving my stops. What I have learned is if I move my stop in the long run, I basically just cost myself opportunity. I'm better off just closing it. So whenever I feel like I need to move my stop, I usually just close the trade, because then I no longer believe in that the market's going to continue to go my way. So basically I move my stop to either lock in profit or minimize the downside. And frankly, I don't like that. So there are strategies though that will teach you how to move stops. I'm just not a big fan of them.
Now, if you could give me one piece of advice in one sentence, what would it be?
Success is a formula, not a fantasy. Make sure you're using a formula for success. Don't guess, know what you're doing, and practice, practice, practice.
Thank you, Josh.